Have you ever noticed how some people can change your entire mood without saying anything directly to you? You walk in feeling focused, confident, ready to take on the world, and then, after spending just a little time around them, something shifts. Your energy drops, your thoughts become heavier, and suddenly, the same goals that excited you start to feel unrealistic. It's subtle, almost invisible, but it spreads quickly, like something you can't quite control. Jake used to be driven. He had structure in his life, waking up early, staying consistent, and working towards something bigger than himself. Every day felt like progress, even if it was slow. Then he met Mark. Mark wasn't a bad person. In fact, he was easy to talk to and always around. But Mark had a pattern. Every conversation circled back to how life wasn't fair, how opportunities were fake, and how most efforts ended in failure. At first, Jake ignored it, thinking it was just harmless venting. But over time, those conversations became frequent, then normal, then expected. Without realizing it, Jake began to change. He stopped waking up early, telling himself rest was more important. He skipped workouts because they felt unnecessary. His business idea, something he once believed in deeply, began to feel like a waste of time. The shift wasn't dramatic. There was no single moment where everything fell apart. It was slow, quiet, and almost unnoticeable. But months later, Jake looked at his life and saw a version of himself he didn't recognize. The worst part was not the outcome, but the fact that he never saw it happening. This is exactly what Robert Greene describes in the 48 Laws of Power. He writes, "You can die from someone else's misery. Emotional states are as infectious as diseases." This idea forms. Law 10. Infection. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. It sounds harsh at first, but when you look closer, it reveals something deeply true about human behavior and influence. Human beings are wired to absorb the emotional states of those around them. It's not just about what people say, but how they feel. Your brain naturally mirrors the emotions in your environment through what psychologists call emotional contagion. When someone constantly complains, your mind begins to focus on problems. When someone expects failure, you start seeing risk everywhere. This process happens automatically, without your permission, and often without your awareness. That is what makes it dangerous. Most people believe they are strong enough to resist this kind of influence. They think they can stay positive while surrounded by negativity or remain ambitious while constantly hearing doubt. But influence does not ask for your agreement. It works through exposure. The more time you spend in a certain emotional environment, the more that environment begins to shape your thinking. You don't wake up one day and decide to change. You slowly become different, thought by thought, conversation by conversation. When you apply this idea to your life, the implications are clear, even if they are uncomfortable. At work, the people you spend time with are shaping how you think about success, effort, and opportunity. If your environment is filled with complaints and excuses, it becomes harder to stay focused and optimistic. In your personal relationships, the same principle applies. The people closest to you either reinforce your growth or quietly pull you away from it. Even in your personal time, the content you consume online can influence your mindset, filling your mind with either possibility or limitation. This does not mean you should abandon people the moment they struggle. That would be a shallow understanding of the idea. There is a difference between someone going through a difficult time and someone who lives in a constant state of negativity. One is temporary and often accompanied by effort to improve, while the other is a pattern rooted in blame, avoidance, and resistance to change. The key is learning to recognize that difference and act accordingly. There is also a darker side to this law that cannot be ignored. If taken too far, it can lead to isolation, arrogance, and a lack of empathy. You might begin to label people too quickly, cutting them off without understanding their situation. Power, in this case, comes not from avoidance alone, but from discernment. You must be able to tell who is trying to grow and who is committed to staying the same. That distinction is what protects you without turning you into someone disconnected from others. In the end, your environment plays a larger role in your life than most people are willing to admit. The people around you influence your thoughts, your habits, and ultimately your direction. Over time, you don't just spend time with certain individuals. You begin to reflect them. If you feel stuck, drained, or off track, it is worth asking not only what you are doing, but also who you are consistently around. Sometimes the biggest change does not come from working harder, but from choosing a different environment. If this made you think differently, take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who needs to hear this message, and subscribe for more content like this. Also, leave a comment below and share your experience. Have you ever noticed how certain people affect your energy and mindset? Let me know and tell me what topic you want to see next.